So this is going to get a 5/4 board, which is basically an 1.25 inch fascia board on here, on top of this 2x4. So I want a little space for the rain gutter to fit behind. So I'm going to use the 2-inch blade of this square. I'm going to hold it right there up against the fascia. That's going to be my mark that I cut to, but I also want to put this on a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to hold this square here. Cut some of this excess material off. Then we're gonna open this up. So we're going to do a 2-inch finished fold. We had the 1/2 inch hem on the bottom, so we're going to cut it at 2.5. Nice thing about doing it this way is this gives you the flexibility, especially when you're dealing with a transition, and you can press your transition in and let the slop out and then cut it off later. Especially if this is at a square, you're able to square it to the building. So there's no adjustments that you need to make as you put panels down. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna use a couple different tools. We're gonna use this Wuko bender. We're gonna use this block. We're gonna use the clinching tool, the rowel clinching tool for Eaves. And this hammer. That's about all we really need. And what we're going to wind up doing is making a hem on the bottom. That's what we're going to step. Step one is to make a 1/2 inch hem. This is going to be a 2-inch finished eave tail. I call it an eave tail or a drip edge. So we're going to put a nice hem on it to clean this bottom cut up. And then we're going to put the final bend on it. And that's going to wind up bending plumb. And that's going to bring the water right down into our gutter. So we're going to go ahead and start with the bottom here. And this is the alternative to a standard drip edge, which you see on most modern homes and standing seam applications. This is really the old style technique. What these roofs started out having, because they didn't have these bending breaks to make drip edge. First of all, so there weren't any prefabricated parts or components, and this was just a simple way of terminating the eave. I like it personally because it gives the eave more dimension than a drip edge. It just gives it like a really bold look, and you'll see what I'm talking about, rather than the panel just dying. And then sometimes with drip edge, it'll look wavy if it's clinched too tight. So this looks nice and straight and boxed. Now, a lot of the old timers, what they did is they folded it tight to the fascia, which I'm not a fan of. I like to bring it about 1.5 inches off the fascia board, finished fascia, or 1 inch. And that allows, especially with a half-round gutter system with the hangers that mount, usually brings that gutter off, you know, a good 1/2 inch or so from the fascia board. That ensures that it runs that water right in the gutter. But yeah, the old timers would run it tight and they would nail it a few nails sometimes, I guess, to kind of eliminate the problem of some kind of uplift. But I've never had a problem with uplift. You put enough cleats down at the bottom, and this fold will also give the panel, you know, make it a little stiffer, give it some stability. All right, so we're going to set this at a little under 2, like 1 7/8 inches, just to allow, we don't want to be hitting at the termination, so hopefully it'll scoot by them. And we're going to do the same process over again. Slowly work it down. And to do this, you do need some space between your fold and the fascia board. I haven't put the finished fascia board on here yet, so that allowed me a little bit more space to get these rollers in there. But if you wanted this to hug it tight, it'd be about impossible. So you need at least a good 3/4 of an inch.
So I noticed this one panel is a double female here. The seam's pointing in the other direction. Want to explain that?
Yeah, so whenever I work around a dormer, I like to start at the side wall of the dormer and work out. So we worked out both directions. So then that required me to fill this area in between the underside of the dormer. So we started off on the far right side here and worked our way this way. So when we got here, we already had a panel and this panel. So we had to make a custom double female to fill that in. So that's why I changed directions.